Shabbat Shalom, Mishpacha. This is Rabbi Simon. Okay, so we are here at another Sabbath day and some more teachings. Now, I'm going to get straight into it and go over a little bit of last week's lecture, because I don't think that you're probably going to grasp what I said last week in one session. But before I do that, I think that I want to go over something else, over what Yeshua, Jesus, said in Matthew chapter 5. And we looked at the poor in spirit about 2 weeks ago. We're going to look at blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Now, what does that mean? Now, it almost seems like that here, and I think that you probably find that pastors alike and world over people, they will tell you that meek means to be humble, or maybe real humble, and they'll give you Moses' example and maybe some other people's example, that you got to be humble like that in order to be blessed. But I will tell you that that is not the case. That actually is a wrong interpretation of the word meek. What the word meek actually means is not humble, as we have been told by pastors and rabbis alike. What it actually means, blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Well, if that was the case, then if they're going to give an example of Moses, then how come Moses did not inherit the promised land? How come God did not allow Moses to enter the land? Because, if you're going to give an example of Moses, then Moses had a problem. Moses had an anger issue. And with Moses' anger issue, he lost the inheritance to the land. So this really flies in the face of what you've been taught, that blessed are the meek and Moses is meek. And Moses was a great prophet, no doubt. One of the greatest prophets ever lived, greatest teachers. But that little problem that he had with anger, that caused him to lose that right to enter the land. So it definitely, the word meek does not apply in that sense. So how would we apply it? Well, we would apply the word meek to mean somebody who is determined. I'm not quite sure what English word really would describe it, but I think maybe stubborn, maybe determined, maybe somebody with fortitude. I think those three words might come close to describing meek. So you got to have fortitude, you got to be real stubborn, and you got to have determination, like heck, nothing can stop you from achieving your aim. That is, by the way, the word meek. That's what meek describes. For they shall inherit the earth. So if you are determined, you have the fortitude, and you don't care about what people think, you know what your goals are, you know where you need to get to, and you are going to get to them no matter what. You're not going to give up. You're not a giver-upper. You only believe in victory, and victory may have challenges, but it's going to come to you because you are meek, because you are stubborn, you have the fortitude, you have the determination. Those qualities are what's going to get you there. So I think I just wanted to explain that, and I thought it will be right to do so. Now, also, I wanted to, there was another verse I marked up in the Hidden Truths Hebraic Scrolls. I think that this may also be something I want to explain and highlight. In Luke chapter 6, reading from the Hidden Truths Hebraic Scrolls, chapter 7, which, as you know, is available at Amazon and Lulu Press. And if it says here in verse 38, Luke chapter 6, verse 38, it says, "Give, and it shall be given to you, good measure, pressed down and shaken together, and running over, shall men give into your bosom. For with the same measure that you measure, it shall be measured to you again. Now, there's a lot of words there. I've kind of I'm through with people, asking them to give tithes, to give Zadaqah, to, especially if you're working. I say to people, but people ignore it. They treat things almost like it's just some kind of, game, joke. They come, they listen to the lectures, they walk away, and maybe some of these people never tithe. They've never given to God. And they think there is some kind of, when the temple is built, we'll think about it then. But the problem is this, that really this has nothing whatsoever to do with the temple standing or not standing. The reason why a lot of people are failing today is exactly because of Luke chapter 6 verse 36. Believe it or not, it's surprising how many people failing because of that, how many people are failing. And I will give you an explanation in a minute, because I think it might be important to help some people to understand what that actually means and what it doesn't mean. Now, if let's go over these verses again. It says give. It doesn't ask you, please give, please donate. It doesn't do any pleasing. There's no pleases there. It just says give. Means unconditionally. Give and it shall be given to you. You give unconditionally and God will return back to you with that multiplier. Now, in the Jewish faith, Jews believe that if you give, God will give you return to you. They believe that God will return to you times 4 of what you give. That means, what you give, you get back times 4 of that. That is a general belief. And that's not just a general belief. A lot of people in Judaism, they believe it, and they testify to certain testimonies that they have their businesses developed, they had their incomes increased after they became givers. And that's the first thing that they are taught, that you must give. And it talks about good measure, pressed down and shaken together and running over, shall men give into your bosom. So it's not talking about, let me just give $10 worth. If you're worth, let's say you're worth, I don't know, depend on what salary you get. Whatever your salary is, God indicated 10%. And let's say instead of you doing the 10%, instead of, if you're earning $1,000 and your 10% is 100, let's say, and 2,000 is 200, and let's say that you decided that instead of, because if we talk, we're not even adding the Zadaqah 10% onto it, we're just saying pure 10%. So if we said 10% only, not the 20% that most Jews do, we'll just count 10%. And so for $2,000 income, if your income is $2,000 bi-weekly or monthly, that would be $200. And if you decided to only donate $10 of that, then that means you are not giving according to the commandments, according to what was taught and what was commanded. And also remember, if you only give 10, God still will bless you. It's not that God will not bless you, but God will only bless you what you give. In other words, you'll get far, far less blessing than you would have got otherwise. It means that you'll be held back. You will not progress forward. And a lot of the time what happens, why people do that, why they do self-sabotage, and that's I kind of consider that self-sabotage. Why they would do that is because they think, somehow in their mind, They have different belief systems running. They don't hold to one belief system. They have different belief systems running, and whatever belief system, that belief system in your head is distorting your decision making. And that distortion comes from your subconscious. It comes because from childhood, when you were brought up, maybe your parents or close relatives, maybe they told you money, there's not enough money, or maybe there's not enough in the world, or maybe money is hard to earn, or maybe money is hard to come by. So you try to hold on to it. You try to hold on to the money, and you try to hold on to things because you're thinking, hey, money is hard to earn, money is hard to come by. And then what happens is you are becoming a stumbling block. You sabotage your own future by doing that. I just wanted to point that out. I don't really want to go too much into it. I just wanted to make sure that you understood that there is such a thing as self-sabotage, and a lot of people do that. I've heard people talk about this and say that when they were being brought up as a youngster, they were brought up to believe that money is hard to earn, and maybe some of their parents knocked them down. And then when they grew up, and those children, they grew up, they educated, they went into business, and they started to earn money. And I heard one guy say that he was earning $30,000 a month, from business, and then he thought to himself, next month I'm going to make 50. I'm going to, put more advertising, work more harder, put myself down, and make 50 next month. And what happened, instead of making 50 next month, he ended up making 20 or 15, half of what he was making. And he goes, after I did all that effort, after I put all those hours in, and after I did everything, the advertising, the effort, and yet I was making half of what I had decided was double of my previous month, and I didn't reach there. And he said the reason was simply my childhood programming. I was brought up as a child, told money is hard to make, money doesn't grow on trees, you have to go out there and work really hard. And he said the months I worked really, really hard, those months I made less. And the months I didn't work so hard, I just chilled. I just, told myself that I'm enough. Things are working out for me. He said that month I made more money. So it's not surprising, because God is in the business of blessing. And we are told, very clearly in the books of the Torah, the first 5 books, and you would have read it, because if I can pull it up, I can read it for you. And if we go and read in the book of Deuteronomy, and we see God here in verse 10, God says that when you have eaten and are full, then you shall thank Yud-Heh-Vah-Heh for the blessing, for your power, for the good land which he has given you. Beware that you forget not, and we can say here, replace Yud-Heh-Vah-Heh with I am. Beware that you forget not I am your power, in not keeping his commandments and his judgments and his statutes which I command you this day, lest when you have eaten and are full, and have built good houses and dwell therein, when your herds and your flocks multiply, and your silver and your gold is multiplied, and all that you have is multiplied, and then your heart is lifted up, and you forget Yud-Heh-Vah-Heh, your power, which brought you forth out of the land of Mitzrayim, Egypt, from the Beit, house of slavery, who led you through the great and terrible wilderness, wherein were poisonous snakes, and scorpions, and drought, where there was no water, who brought you forth out of the rock of flint. So God produced water in the desert for us to drink, because we are the chosen people, who fed you in the wilderness with manna, with bread, with your Avot fathers knew not, that he might humble you, that he might prove you to do good at your latter end. And you say in your heart, my ability and the strength of my hand has gotten me this wealth. In other words, instead of believing that is the great I am, is God, Yudhevahe, who's given us this wealth. It is through his mercy and goodness that we have got this wealth. And we can translate this into Jesus. Jesus is your Lord and Savior. You can say that Jesus is the one behind this, granted you this wealth. But it says that instead of you saying that it's him who did it, you say, I did it, my strength did it. But then it says in verse 18, but you shall remember Yudhevahe your power, for it is he that gives you power to get wealth, that he may establish his covenant, which he swore to your avot, and it is this day. And it shall be, if you do at all forget Yudhevahe your power, and do the halachot, the works of other powers, other gods, and serve them, and pay homage to them, I testify against you this day that you shall surely be destroyed. Listen, it's very simple. And I'm sorry, if it's going to hurt some people, me saying this. It's very simple. If we serve other gods, other powers, and their methods, their ways, in other words, if I serve other gods and their ways, what they teach, then of course I've gone astray from my covenant. I'm no longer in sync with my covenant. And it says, what is my end? And it tells you that your end is destruction, not blessing. It doesn't say you will be blessed. It says that God is trying to establish his covenant in you. But if you are against that, and you are instead, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you're paying homage to them. In other words, when it says, and you're serving other powers, other gods, and serve them and pay homage to them. How do we pay homage to false gods? Well, not necessarily that we pay homage because we go to their temples. No. That's totally wrong. Totally wrong of understanding. A person would be paying homage to a false god simply by following the rules of that god. He doesn't have to go to their temple. No, you don't have to. But if you follow the rules of that, whoever that false god is, there's many examples in the past, then you are actually paying homage to that god. And the Israelites, and I know that they were guilty of that, because in Egypt they worshipped several different deities. There were sheep deities, there were goat deities, there were cat deities, there were dog deities. There's all sorts of deities in Egypt. And a lot of our people, they were destroyed. They never came out of the Exodus. A lot of these people never left Egypt because they were stuck to the hips of those gods, and they were destroyed. We don't even hear about them. What is known, what we do know from history and evidence is that only 25% of the people left Egypt in the Exodus. The other 75% never left. And we don't even know who they are. They got absorbed. A lot of those people died. Their generations died. And they got absorbed into the nations. We don't even know who they are. 75% of our people are lost at that time. Only 25% people came out. And the people that came out, all the elders, most of the elders except two, as you know, two elders, apart from all the other elders, they died. They never entered the land. And only the children entered the land, the next generation. So we're only told that Joshua and Caleb were the only two people that were marked that entered the land, who kept the covenant. So please, don't think that paying homage to another god means that you have to go to that temple or that, house of worship. If people worship fire today, it doesn't mean you have to go into the temple to worship fire. You could simply be doing things that, God doesn't approve of. And so therefore, I would encourage you to fix your ways. And I'm not saying that, if you're unemployed, of course, you can't give, but if you're employed gainfully, you should properly tithe. And you should properly get the respect and the blessings that you deserve. And that's the right thing to do. Now, coming back to last week's lecture, and coming back to what we discussed, and I want to elaborate on this today, is the number 112211. Now, this number 112211, I want to teach you today Kabbalistically what is attached to this number. Kabbalistically, the number 1 has the attachment of angel of the Lord. Yes, angel of the Lord. That is mentioned in the Old Testament several times. And the number 2 has the angel mentioned as Israfil, but actually this angel Michael. It's the angel Gabriel, number 2. So number 1 is angel of the Lord, and number 2 is the angel Gabriel. Those are the 2 angels that are attached to the number 1 and the number 2. And number 1 has the top and number 1 has the bottom. So the number 1 top, angel of the Lord, and the number 1 at the bottom, there are different powers attached there that are subservient to the angel of the Lord and also subservient to angel Gabriel. What are those powers? Well, those powers could be different kind of beings that are in the different seven heavens, and the 7 skies above us, different heavens. There are different powers that are subservient to the powers above. So those are very powerful numbers that I gave you. I didn't give you a full explanation last week, but I think the time is this week. I'll give you the full explanation why those numbers work and how you're supposed to use them. I would write them with a black pen on a blank small piece of paper that has got no lines. 112211. I would make several copies of it. Copies meaning you could take a piece of paper, a white printing paper, and you can cut it into maybe 10 bits, 10 or 12 bits, and you write 112211 on it, on every one of them. And what you do is you start putting those on the different things in your house. Like, for instance, if you put this on the door, on the front of your door, front meaning inside of your door, on the what's called the beam, the door beam, which is above the door, the non-moving part. The door beam, which is non-moving, if you add it to that part, the frame of the door, you put it on top of the frame, the number 112211, you put it with a tape, that will get you a new house. Yes, new house. If you put it on a car that you desire, maybe you have an old car and you desire a new car, put it in your car, somewhere on the dash, anywhere in the car, on the door, on the dash, you get a new car. Put it inside your phone cover, you'll get a new phone. Put it on your laptop, you'll get a new laptop. Put it on an empty wall. If you're in a hot country, you'll get some kind of cooling system that'll come into your house to cool your house. Whether that is an air cooler or whether that is air conditioned, like back home, people use air conditioners and air coolers. So you will get that. Now, you could also take the number 112211 and you could put it in your wallet at the front of your notes, and it will generate income in your wallet. It will make the flow of income more easy. In other words, if you found that your money in your wallet doesn't stay, it disappears quickly, it gets spent and doesn't get replaced fast enough, well, this will make sure that your money is replaced. It will go circulate and it will replace it. These numbers are extremely, extremely powerful. I've given you some uses. You put it on a fridge, you're going to get a new fridge. You put it on a motorcycle, you're going to get if your motorcycle is bad, not working, your car is broken, not working, put it on the car, put it on the motorcycle, it will be fixed. Motorcycle, machine, on a TV, put it on the back of a TV. Your TV will be replaced with a new LED TV. I'm not giving you this just as by the by. No, this is not by the by. I have done this with my students across the world. I'm in America sitting here, and I've across the world given instructions to my students. There was one girl, Christian family. I told her to put it on her door at the top, 112211. And you know what? Today she sent me a message that my mother has been offered a job and a house to stay in. Now, it's very rare, very, very rare that in a country like Pakistan that somebody will get offered a house unless you're working for the government. Unless you're a police officer or in the military. Sure, you're a big tax man, big tax officer. Maybe you'll be offered a house and a car, but not, normal people don't get offered houses with jobs. But I'm talking about a normal person, a person who's not educated, a person who's not working for the government. They did that. And the girl told me today, she asked me, she said, my mother's been offered a house and a job. Shall we take it? And I said, yes, take it. This is a blessing from God for you. And I instructed her to put it everywhere in her new house. Whatever she needs to bring in, put it there. Put it on the empty walls. And I can tell you, countless testimonies of this working, where people have put it inside their kitchen and they found that their cabinets have been replaced, their fridges have been replaced with new fridges, and the count is endless. I know people who put it on their laptop and they got a new laptop. I know people who put it in their phone cover and they got a new phone. So whatever you want to renew, even a car, even a house. Yeah. Now you might ask me, Rabbi or Kohen, what if I don't have a car? What do I do then? Let me tell you what you do. You put it on the car you desire on a picture of the car. Get a picture of the car, print it out from Google Images, print that picture, write the 112211 on it, make sure you write it with the black pen, and keep it. You'll get that car. Yes, that car will come. You want a job? You want a new job? Yes, you can get a new job. You make a 112211 piece of paper, you hold it in the morning, and you get 2 times. You could do it 4 times in the morning, and you could do it 4 times at night. And the 4 times you do it in the morning, you can do it for 4 different things in the morning, and you can either do the same 4 things at night, or you can do 4 different things at night. You could be asking for 8 things every day. So let's say I hold the 112211 and I say, get me a job. I can do that. Or I might say, you have maybe a problem in the house somewhere, maybe something is broken, you want to get it fixed, you can say fix that thing by name, and it will fix. But you got to do it every day religiously. So the number of things that you have, those number of times, those number of things you can ask for. If you desire 2 things, then just do it 2 times in the morning, 2 times at night. If you desire 3 things, do it 3 times in the morning, 3 times at night. And I suggest 1 minute for each thing. Put a timer on. All of your laptops, your phones have timers. Put a timer for 1 minute, and you just say, hold it in front of you. You can either open your eyes, hold it with both hands, the corners. You can either close your eyes or keep them open, and you can say what you desire. Come back with testimonies to me once you've done that. Yeah, come back with testimonies. Because I've got loads of testimonies of people who I've given these instructions to, and they have got several benefits. Now, remember I told you the girls that got the job when they said we asked for the job in the name of the Kohen. You can do that. You can ask for a job in the name of the Kohen, and you'll get the job as well. That is also already proven to work. So All these are for your blessings. They are to better your life. But please remember, give thanks where it belongs. Give back to God what belongs to God, and give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. I hope you have a great Sabbath, great weekend with your families. Enjoy yourself and look after yourself and love each other. Take care. Shalom, shalom to you.